but
Mm.
I would drive by her house and my dad would be on the porch. My dad never lived in that house. She moved there after he passed away. So
Mm.
I knew he was there to start to lay some groundwork with her.
Hi, I'm Allie Andros, and welcome to the AHA podcast, where we awaken, heal, and align. Let's share some AHA moments together. So, today I am very excited to introduce a very special guest, Jami Hearn. And Jami is a brilliant and beautiful soul, and she's had an incredible career as an attorney and now a savvy real estate investor, but that's just the beginning. And what you might not know is that she's also a beekeeper, a farmer, an author, and a gifted psychic medium. And I'm lucky enough to call you a friend. So I'm very honored to have you here today. So thank you for being here.
That was so sweet. I'm really excited to share this space with you because it's so rare that my all of my worlds get to come together.
Yeah.
And when they do, I'm like, oh yeah, let's dive in.
I know, and it's so funny too, of all the places on this spiritual journey awakening thing that I've been on, I never thought like real estate was gonna somehow connect me with beautiful souls that are part of my spiritual awakening journey. And it's it's just so funny how the universe works because I'll never forget when we met at the conference in Chicago.
Yep.
And so, yeah, we were at a real estate conference and we were out to dinner and lots of people there. And I happened to sit next to you. And I remember I had my phone sitting out and a picture of Mikkel popped up on my phone. And you made a comment about it. And I think I kind of got weird because I don't know what to say a lot of times when people do that. And you just like saw me and when I told you about her, you just teared up and had the biggest smile and you said, I am a medium. And I'm like, how did what? This like savvy real estate investor that I look up to that's doing amazing big things, who's an attorney, and somehow you're a medium, like that. So wild. And that, yeah. And then it was just immediate connection, and I knew we were gonna be good friends.
I was actually just telling Ria about that night recently.
Are
And I
you
was like, oh
serious?
yeah, you didn't see us like huddled together at the pizza table, like the world happening around us.
Yeah, that was amazing. It was just we were in our own little bubble, and yeah, it
Well,
was
it,
so cool.
it all happens exactly as it's supposed to.
Hmm.
And none of us could plan it as well as it's already orchestrated. So here we are.
Here we are. Yes, yes. And then also, I have to say, just after that, it wasn't long after that where you sent me an amazing care package and with little things for my kids. And so that's where I learned it was like you gave me fresh honey that you had farmed on from your bees. And then I even have I keep this little crystal thing at my desk. And didn't you get this from a quarry or like,
Yeah, we went and mined it.
yeah, you mine that? Yeah, I need to add mining skills to the list. And I love that. Like, I don't know, it just reminds me of you. And I feel like it's like a grounding thing when I'm having a hard day. I just reach over and grab it and try and feel energy from it. So,
And they're so funny because like crystals really have their own energetic signature and vibration. And sometimes I'll, especially if I go buy one, I'll get one and I'll be like, oh, this one's so pretty. And then an hour later, I cross paths with someone and I know that I got that crystal for them. And I'll literally have a conversation with myself like, I like this one, but it's so pretty. But I picked it out because of this, this, and this. The other half is like, yeah, I know, because it's meant for that person. It's not meant for you. Okay.
oh my gosh, that's so sweet of you.
That's kind of been the story of my life. Like, people talk about the voices in their head. I have an ongoing dialogue. And as a child, I didn't know other people didn't have that. Like, I just thought that that was normal. So
Wow.
it wasn't until I was probably like middle school where I started to figure out that other people did not have the same experience as me, even my own parents. So this existence I have comes through a bloodline, multiple bloodlines actually, but there aren't a lot of other people in my family that have embraced it before me. My grandmother, she was definitely connected and she was very quiet about it. It was kind of a nuisance for her. I think it came with a stigma. And then my dad was also connected and he'd say off the cuff things, but never really dove into it.
Huh.
And then, like I said, as a child, there was a whole family that lived in the bedroom at the end of the hallway. I thought everyone had an extra family in the junk room. Turns
Holy
out
shit.
not everyone is aware of that.
Oh, wow. What was I want to ask about the family. Was it like mom, dad, kids? They
It
all
was
had personalities and you knew them?
I knew all of them. Yep. So I'm an only child, and it was a mom, a dad, and a little girl. So, like, she was my playmate. So my mother called her my imaginary friend. And for me, it was a very real experience, whether she was in corporeal form or in spirit. I had an ongoing interaction with this little girl, and she had an accent. So every now and then I'd speak with an accent. My mother probably was like, does my kid have multiple personalities or what? And then I didn't really intentionally go about learning what to do with it or how to harness it or how to use it until my younger son started to demonstrate the same experience. We lived in a house and like stuff always happened in the house. I was used to that. That was normal to me. We were like, things that you might try to explain as like electronic anomalies. If you pulled into the garage and the next time you came out, like things would be different in the car. Like the high beams would be on, or a blinker would be on, or like weird things that you didn't really get upset about, but you noticed. We were coming in from the garage one evening, and my then, he was almost two, clung to me, telling me that that little girl could not have me, and I was his mama. I needed to tell her to go away. So I said to my older son, you know what he's talking about? Thinking like maybe something had happened that day that I didn't know about. Looking for an explanation just like most humans would do. And
Yeah.
he had no idea. He couldn't be bothered with it. He just wanted dinner. So I was like, all right, I see what's going on. He's having the same experience I did. And I then decided, well, I need to figure out how to manage this because I don't want him to have any kind of unnecessary challenges because
Yeah.
we all know growing up is hard enough.
Yeah.
If you're the weird kid, that makes it even harder.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
he used it like because I never stifled it in him. He is super connected and he would like cheat on math tests with it. My dad had passed in the interim and he would connect with my dad and ask for help with his math test. Well, he wasn't showing any of his work. And the teacher called me. She's like, we have a problem. We think your son is cheating. And how am I going to say he is, but not the way you think? We had a very profound conversation about how you use your skills and connection for good, not for personal advancement. It's really hard for an 8-year-old to understand.
Wow, that's unbelievable. But your dad did help with the cheating, so it's partially
He was
on him.
totally complicit. My dad has always been a character, we'll say.
Yeah.
He likes to harass my husband. Even now, my dad's been gone for 15 years, and every now and then he'll do things to my husband just because he likes to. He likes to make my husband's hair stand up. So that's actually, like he gets message too, and that's how he receives it through his hair, like feeling like
Wow.
a balloon
Like
is
the
rubbing on it.
static electricity kind of making it stand up?
Yeah.
That's
So,
funny.
so my dad likes to continue to be involved.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Do you get to experience your dad as well after he's passed? Do you?
Yep.
get to talk to him? And is it something you can just like call in whenever, or he just pops in whenever he wants, or how does that work?
Both. Sometimes he will respond because I have a strong connection with him. It's a little easier to connect intentionally, but not always. Sometimes he just shows up. He talks to me through things. I think I wrote about it in my book. We were driving down our driveway and there's a hedgerow along the driveway. We live in the country. It was lined with crows. So I stopped and put down the window and I stuck my head out and I said, "Hey, are you Pop?" And a crow snapped his head around and nodded. And my kids were like, "Oh my God, she talks to crows now." And so he will show up in ways like that. But when my mom was sick, she was never open to this aspect of life. But I would drive by her house and my dad would be on the porch. My dad never lived in that house. She moved there after he passed away. So
Mm.
I knew he was there to start to lay some groundwork with her. And even at the end, she wasn't really all that open to the idea of what was going on. And then
Mm,
everyone has their own journey, so I couldn't
exactly.
really impose my thoughts on her. But one of the hardest things about spiritual journeys and learning about my own spiritual connection is honoring and understanding that every soul has its own journey. And while you're impacted by those journeys because you love those souls, it's still their journey. As challenging as it is for us as humans to accept that, I mean, you deal with that every day, I'm sure. Like,
Oh, totally. Yes. One thing that recently I've been thinking, because my 17-year-old daughter was very close with Mikkel and her journey of grief. Like I'm sort of having this spiritual awakening and learning all these new things, and I'm like, I want to share it with you because I could see the pain in her. And she's a lot like her dad, who's just his way of dealing with grief or things is just kind of like just shuts down, and we're not going to talk about that. And I'm so excited to share it. And I'm like, you know what? It's their journey. And I did have a reading a while ago where the medium had said like the ripple effects of her death are part of that purpose is to kind of awaken and help people. She could do help more people from that side, she realized, than here. And so even though it's not maybe on your timeline, that those people like her dad and her sister, they will experience their own version of awakening and things, and it will help so many people, which I thought was
right.
cool.
And you can't impose what you see from your perspective, even though you know that the knowledge you have, the experience you have can help, it's still theirs.
Exactly, exactly. And it is interesting too, like one thing I've learned, and you mentioned this in your book, how it's kind of like you do have to believe in it. Like for these gifts to work, you have to have the belief in order for them to be honored and come forward. And so it's like I just keep hoping just little drops, little breadcrumbs will come in that spark belief. And I see it every once in a while. And it's, yeah, everyone's own journey. But I love too, you talked about how you're not crazy and you put an asterisk and said, spoiler alert, you're not alone if you think you're crazy, because I can't tell you how many times just had those moments where I think, okay, I'm legitimately going insane. Someone's going to put me in the mental hospital. And I'm not even having the things like you've had, but I've had my own things with signs and synchronicities and crazy things. I wish that I could see and hear and all those things. But yeah, I love that you addressed that too in your book about feeling crazy and how it can be disruptive and how to harness these things. So, yeah.
Society really programs you to think you're the weird one.
Yeah.
Granted, like the etymology of the word weird means wise in like old English, but anyway, it's a whole other rabbit hole. But we've all been programmed to see what everyone around us wants us to see. And if we see something a little bit different or from a slightly different perspective, we're definitely the fringe. But everyone has the capacity. Whether everyone has the inclination and desire is a different conversation. But literally every person, every human has the capacity. And a lot of us get to a point where we want to turn it on and we're just not sure how. So the best thing you could possibly do is start having conversations with people who are living. And it's not necessarily like you have to go have a reading or you have to go join a class. Just have a conversation. Send a note on Facebook. Hey, I think I have some connection too. Tell me about your experience. And just start there.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. It's so funny because I was so terrified of even doing this podcast and stuff. I'm very introverted. I'm one of the weird ones that feels different. But I did do like a raw, vulnerable post, and that's the one I think you saw that says I'm in. And I can't tell you how many messages I got from people that said, "I have a weird story." I was flooded, and from people I never would have thought too, people from childhood who might have been, like, super religious or super quiet. It's just crazy how many people and people just don't talk about it because it's a scary thing, so I love that you're willing to. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, well, like I said, it's always been a part of my life, and it wasn't until the last 2 decades that I really started to harness it. So I want people to know that you can make the choice to learn, go deeper, and develop that skill at any point. It's never too late or too early. Everyone is on their own trajectory, and the right time, it shows up.
Mhm. Yeah, that's beautiful. So when was you said, like, within the last 2 decades when you've started to really harness it. Before that, did it feel kind of like you didn't really like your gift because you thought it makes me different, or you just didn't know what to do with it?
So after I realized that it wasn't everyone else's experience like mine was, I just started to ignore it. Like, I still thought some of the things that I experienced were kind of neat, but I didn't really dive into them. I didn't explore my own experience. I just noticed it and kept moving. I was also going to college, playing sports, going to law school. So I was busy and I kept myself distracted. And I think a lot of people start to experience those things around that age and they're labeled with mental health issues.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, that's when schizophrenia is normally diagnosed. And oh, well, that's when bipolar disorder often rears its ugly head. So I was more inclined to just be like, "Oh, yep, saw that. I'm just going to keep going in this direction because I didn't want those labels. And now looking back, I can see where a lot of people talk about their experiences or seek help or input or guidance and get those labels in the not so distant past. It's probably happening now as well. But it was really present in the early part of the 20th century because the church had such a strong influence on society. And by church, I mean religion in general.
Right. Yeah, yeah. So true.
So I don't think that the whole mental health industry helps at all. I mean, in
No.
this regard, there's definitely a need for people who have a mental health illness, but it really causes a lot of people to just stuff it down, stuff the a spiritual connection down and be like, "Oh, I didn't hear that voice. I didn't see that thing." When
Mhm.
it could be something that they could explore and really find a profound use for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I find all that so fascinating because I've had some of my own, like, aha moments with mental health, and I definitely agree there's a huge need to have mental health help and things, and it is an issue, but I often wonder how much of it is just like trying to kind of live in between two worlds. You've got this spiritual part, and it's really hard to be in your human world when you're also experiencing this other thing that makes you feel different. And there was a really good documentary called Wolf's Message that this medium put together. It was so fascinating because this guy had schizophrenia, or he was diagnosed with it, and she was able to really tap into his energy and talk with his parents, and she figured out that he had it, and she said he always had a hard time because half of him was on the other side, and he had passed on. It was a wild story. He got struck by lightning, and he knew how he was going to die, and he drew it and everything, and then he somehow was at that tree, and that is exactly how he died.
Wow.
And it is a powerful story, but it talked about how everyone had diagnosed him and labeled him because he would hear voices, and really what he was trying to say is that he was trying to live in both worlds, and it was making him diagnosed as crazy, and so fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. And it's more prevalent than people think.
Mhm.
I mean, you had your own experience when you made that post. Like, how many people actually live with this experience and don't talk about it readily? I mean, I don't really talk about it as much as I used to. When I was at the height of figuring out what to do with my own connection, I talked about it all the time publicly.
Mm,
At this point, I'm super secure and grounded with who I am from a physical and spiritual perspective, so I don't talk about it as readily. I also don't hide it. Like, I have books that talk about my experience. So I think that's sometimes hard for people also because society doesn't necessarily say, oh, well, you talk to dead people. How could you possibly be a successful real estate investor? Because they have nothing to do with each other. Actually, talking to dead people may make me a more successful real estate investor because the dead people told me that you're not telling me all the information about that building that I need to know.
it's your own cheat
And
code.
sometimes that does happen.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like it also kind of draws you to the right people, like the right energies, the right opportunities are attracted to you because of that gift you have of this intuitive ability of like what might be a good deal.
I do operate on intuition a lot. Like, I will see something that other people have said no to, and I see something different. One of the other things about having some spiritual insight, you hear the things people aren't saying when they tell you things.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
when I'm having a conversation with anyone in the real estate space, I leave that conversation with more than someone else may receive under the same circumstances.
Yep, I remember reading about this in your book too, when you're talking about the empaths and like what their qualities are, and you kind of list all of them. And there were like 13 of them, and I was circling, have that, have that, have that. And I think I had like 11 and a half because one I only gave myself half credit for. But that was a huge one for me, is that I did not have, well, maybe I had a touch of it, but until after Mikel's passing, like so many of these, I think it just kind of ripped me open in a way where some of these layers that had built up over the years kind of got to be shed. And it's like I had at a conference and you're just talking with people and I can hear the words that they're saying, but I can feel more the energy of what they're actually feeling and saying, and I can tell that, okay, those are not quite aligning. And it's hard to have that mismatch and being in the room with a lot of people. And there are so many times I just had to step out and go for a walk, go back to my room because it's so much stuff coming at you, and it would overwhelm me, just the energies and emotions and different things, just chaos, because it was like so many different things, and I could feel the people that were truly like their words, what they're saying are matching inside. And for sure you were one of them. There's definitely a
Thanks.
lot of there were quite a few people that I've met that I'm like, oh, that just feels so good inside when the inside, the soul and the energy matches outside of what they're projecting and saying to the world. So, yeah.
Have you started to have the experience where you meet someone and you're like, I know that person, but I have no logical explanation how?
Yes. I've had that happen a lot of times, and it drives me crazy. So crazy. It is bizarre. Yeah, just unexplicable connections. And yeah, there's one really cool friendship I've made with a girl in Portland who also lost her son, and I met her through this Helping Parents Heal group. And it's so bizarre, but I actually have a very profound connection with her son who's passed on. And I don't know how I know this or feel it, but I feel like her son, Noah, and my daughter, Mikkel, are friends up there, and they arranged us meeting, and we've learned so much from each other. And I have this, like, so much love for a boy that I've never met. And I think of him all the time, and I see signs, and I'm like, oh, hey, Noah. Like,
That
it's so we put a memorial in our yard for Mikkel, and his sign is kind of a ladybug, his mom told me. We put all these rocks, and he's a purple heart. He died by suicide, and so that's kind of the symbol is a purple heart. And there is a rock with a purple heart in the because we had her friends paint rocks, and we put them around this lamppost. And when I put all the rocks around, there was a ladybug sitting on right next to the Purple Heart rock of all the rocks. And I took a picture. I sent it to his mom. I'm like, Noah came for Kelsmore Memorial setup.
I love it.
It's so cool. The things I've had that happen so many times where I don't know how I know that boy, but I just do somehow. So interesting.
Yeah, and really the how doesn't matter.
Mhm.
It's the experience of feeling his energy and feeling his love for you and his mom that is what matters.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah. Do you get that a lot as well with the meeting someone and just not knowing how you know
Well,
them?
I no longer ask how. I just acknowledge the experience, and I actually get both extremes. Like I will meet someone and be like, that's my person. I really know that I'm supposed to be close friends with that person. I also meet people and I'm like, ooh, no, no, thanks. I'm gonna go in the other direction.
Yeah. Well, and another thing I remember you said is like nothing is a coincidence. So it's like every person you meet, it could be this person is your person, or you were supposed to be in the orbit of that person, or you met that person, but maybe they're supposed to show you, like, yep, stay away from that. Or, like everyone has kind of a meaning in your life, even how tiny it is. So I think that's really
Absolutely. And it's hard to define what that meaning is. Sometimes it's cleaning up karma. You had something historically that was still lingering and you needed to have closure to it or learn or see something. Like having the exact details is rare. And a lot of people come and they're like, hey, let's talk about this thing I have going on in my life. Why am I experiencing it? And I hate to be dismissive, but why you're experiencing it doesn't honestly really matter. What you do with it is what matters, and how you react and how you integrate the experience into your human experience here. So I don't do a lot of readings because you know me well enough to know I'm just like, I'm going to tell you what I think, whether so, like maybe I should sugarcoat it sometimes, but I generally don't because I'm not that good at it.
yeah.
So some people will come and say, hey, let's chat, and they'll be ready to receive messages like that. A lot of people aren't. Most people are seeking someone to tell them what to do, someone to tell them what they want to hear, or someone to tell them what they're doing is what they should be doing.
Yes.
And I'm not that girl.
Yeah. I know. Well, that's hard for me. That's very hard for me is I want to know why. Like I do have the analytical mind. I was in finance before and this is like such a shift for me and I want to know why for everything. Why did I meet that person? Why did that happen? Yeah, it's really hard. Or yeah, like what is my soul's purpose? And I just want someone to tell me. And I can't tell you how many times I've been like, Mikkel, like, tell me what to do. Do it, I promise. Just tell me what I'm supposed to be doing with my life.
It's the easy way. You didn't sign up for the easy way.
Give me the cheat sheet. Your dad helped your son. I want to help her like that. I want the cheat code.
Apparently, math problems don't qualify in the tell me what to do category, but
Yeah.
part of our human experience is to curate what our purpose is. And it's not a static purpose. You don't come into this life saying, I'm going to cure cancer or whatever, and then that's your purpose. Your purpose evolves as you have different experiences and make different choices. So at any given point, you may not have the same answer to what is my purpose as you do tomorrow or next week or any at any other point. The other really challenging thing for people to integrate into their knowledge base is the idea of time. Because as humans, we see seconds lead to minutes, lead to hours, lead to days sequentially. That's not our experience on a quantum level or on a spiritual level. Most
Yep.
humans cannot wrap their mind around that idea.
Nope. Nope. I love that you're bringing this up because this is one of the biggest aha moments of my journey has been the concept of time. It's been very mind blowing because there are so many people, like I've listened to so many NDEs and they all say that time doesn't exist there. I can't explain it in human terms. I've sat there and tried to watch Einstein's theories and make sense of it. Like, okay, well, mathematically, like it's true. Time doesn't factor into these equations, but your brain just wants to explode when you try and think of it. And I've had wild experiences with what I feel like is Mikkel trying to explain things to me through. I
It's
don't even know if I
normal.
want to say it because I'll sound so crazy, but like how time is not real and it's almost like things that have happened in my life where it's kind of been like known to me. I can tap into any moment of your life and say, like, this was me going back in time when Avril, my older daughter, was born, and you had this almost near-death experience giving birth to her. I was there, and I was trying to teach you this. It's so wild, and I'm like, I know that I sound so crazy right now, but I swear she's trying to get a message to me
We've
about
already
time not being
dispelled the
real.
crazy thing. You are not crazy. But all of that is so accurate. Like, time is a construct that humans use. It has nothing to do with our souls or our souls exist. So I'm 100% sure that she's giving you those messages because she wants you to see the magic that she can see. And I'm also willing to wager that her capacity to see magic while she was in her human form was far greater than most people's.
You are so spot on with that. So spot on. Ugh, yeah. And she was very fascinated by all this stuff. And I actually love the thought now of thinking of her just knowing all the mysteries of the universe and the cosmos because she was so fascinated by that, by physics and black holes. And it was very unusual for a 18-year-old girl to be sitting there watching Neil deGrasse Tyson on YouTube and reading the books and it's yeah, it's wild. She had kind of this best friend that they would just for hours talk about these things and the universe. And I actually was recently reading some of their text exchanges and they had watched the movie Interstellar and now that movie has I don't know if you've seen that movie. If you haven't, you should definitely watch it. But it's like it's a space movie, but the theme of it, if you look deeper than just the space stuff, it's like it's really talking about how love is all that matters and it transcends time and space. And this little girl, like, and her dad, their strong bond of love, and she's, like, in her bedroom and thinks that there's ghosts because the books on the bookshelf are moving and there's little things that get moved or, like, something written in the dust, and he's like, "Maybe it's a ghost or whatever," and then he goes off to, like, save the world and all this, and he goes through this black hole, goes through dimensions, time, and he realizes, because he comes in this parallel universe thing and he sees the backside of the bookcase and he realizes that it was him pushing the books. The ghost that he thought was actually him. And he's trying to get messages to his daughter because she misses him because he's been off in space trying to save the world. And Mikkel, I was reading her text with her and this boy, and she kept saying, like, Interstellar, it's so fascinating. It's so real. I'm so confused, but I'm not going to be able to sleep. And this was like the night before she passed away, too. And so that movie has a whole nother level of meaning for me now because I think, oh, okay, if time isn't real and space and all this, they're able to tap into all these things and she knows it all now. Like,
Yeah. And
wild.
she's moving the books. I know
Yeah.
who she is.
Yes, she's moving the books. Like, I'm like, well, there's a reason why you showed me those texts and why I needed to know that Interstellar was an important movie to you. I get it. So
Yes.
you talk about different clairs, like the clear audio. It would probably be helpful because I get these mixed up. What are the different clairs and which ones do you experience the most?
So most people call clairvoyance the capacity to connect with spirit, but clairvoyance is actually the capacity to see spirit or something that is beyond the five senses, like
Mm-hmm.
whether it's this dimension or energetic. So some people see auras. That's a form of clairvoyance. Some people literally see spirit. I do. My husband and I were out at some event on a weekend and we were driving down this big hill in our town. And I said, that guy looked like someone you used to work with. And he was just walking on the side of the road. So I said, I'm going to look him up and see what he's doing. He had OD'd the night before. And Miles saw this person too, and he was like, do you think he has a message for us? Yeah, apparently he does have a message for us. Like, he wouldn't have shown up like that. I also see a lot of animals. So I'll be driving and I'll see something on the side of the road that no one else sees. So you have to learn to discern when it's appropriate to receive a visual message and when it may not be, because we all have to function as humans.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of people say, I want to see dead people. And then when spirit shows up, they get startled and they're like, no, I don't want to see anything anymore. So you have to be really intentional what you ask for because it's just beyond the veil. And you have to be ready to receive it. Spirit doesn't want to frighten you, but it can be startling sometimes. So ask for what you're ready for, not for what you think might be cool.
Yeah.
The clairaudience is the ability to hear spirit. And this could literally be an outside, an external audio experience where you literally hear someone whisper in your ear. I have that sometimes. It can also be hearing it in your head. So a lot of times you hear people say, I hear voices in my head. That
Uh,
is clairaudience.
yeah.
So
Wow.
those two are pretty prevalent. Like a lot of people understand those. Clairsentient is the knowing. And that one is honestly my strongest, Claire.
Mm,
So that's just when you know
mhm,
things you shouldn't know or wouldn't logically know.
mhm.
I was new in my law practice, scrambling to get something done, and my phone kept ringing. And it was back when we had desk phones. So finally, I answered it, and it was a client, and he said, hey, I need to talk to you. And I said, who's her lawyer? I'll get him this stuff. And he was like, I didn't tell you what was going on yet. And I was like, you mean I didn't know you were getting divorced? I did. I know. And I was so distracted by all the other things that I just let that path take control. But he was like, yeah, no, I have not called you and told you that yet. I'm like, so what did you need from me? So that particular one can really take over for me. So I have to be really intentional about managing that one. And
So
then there's Claire Gustiance, and it's so that one is taste. You can taste literal other things. Sometimes people will taste like that metallic blood taste if they're talking to someone receiving a message from a spirit who has passed. And then the other one is smell. I have that one occasionally too. My dad died of liver related issues. So every now and then I will walk into our house. My dad built our house. And then after he passed, my mom couldn't maintain it and keep the property. So we bought it from her. But I will walk in and I will smell ammonia. And I'm like, hey, Dad, what's up? Like, what are we doing today? Sometimes I'll smell it in the car too. And I'm like, got my own private Malone today. Where are we going? Those are the primary clairs. Some people have a sense of touch. They'll have a certain sequence of touch from spirit. Often when I'm working with somebody to build a connection with their spirit guides, I help them to create a standard process so they know who's talking to them. Because we all have a variety of spirit guides. We all have inner circle guides that are ours and ours alone. Occasionally, you'll get one that will bifurcate and take on two souls. Like I have friends who are sisters and they have the same protector guide. But I think that comes from probably a traumatic childhood that, yeah, there are so many different factors in our own development as humans. But
yeah.
generally, your inner circle guides are exclusive to you for this incarnation. But then we all have an unlimited number of outer circle guides.
Hmm.
Those are specific purpose. So you may have a guide that helps you publish your podcast or helps you learn about real estate or helps you connect to flower essences or something. Those guides serve the masses. So we could have the same experience with a guide in that realm.
Hmm.
When you're learning how to connect with them, I will tell people when you're talking with this guide, have them give you a sensation on your left shoulder. There's one medium who he's super fascinating. He used to work in a prison. Like I can't imagine that as a medium. But his guides give him cues by touching his face. So, like, this is a no, this is a yes, or something like that. And he can literally feel the sensation. I sometimes will experience a physical sensation, but not often. That is not the primary experience I have. I also don't do that with my own guides anymore because I have an ongoing interaction with them on a pretty regular basis. So I don't have to have a pneumatic way of keeping track of who they are. But it really works well for some people. So as you're developing, you need to explore what works for you and don't listen to what somebody else says as gospel. What works for you is exactly right.
Hmm. Okay. I love all this. I have so many questions as you're talking because this has been something I've tried to do and I don't feel like I'm being successful at it, but like being able to connect with spirit guides. I have done meditations, all these things. I love the concept that they exist and I love hearing you talk about them, but I guess my first question is how do you tell when it's you versus a spirit guide or your higher self or trying to tell you something because you already have those thoughts in your head that are playing constantly. And I'm always like, is this coming because it's something I want or and I'm trying to make it happen? Or is this like something that popped in from somewhere else? In that case, awesome. Like, yeah, how do you differentiate that?
So you have to consistently practice and start to learn the different qualities of of the voices or the energies or the inputs. You can also stop and ask yourself, is this coming from me or is this external? And by external, it just means not your soul talking. You can muscle test, you can ask a pendulum, because sometimes people do have a hard time discerning. And that's the default. People are like, oh, I made that up. You
Mm-hmm.
probably didn't make it up. And if it's something you really want to be receiving, you're putting the vibration in, you're probably receiving it. So you questioning it makes it not want to come back. So learning to use a pendulum is a good way to do it. I mean, a pendulum is a rock on a string. So it's not like that pendulum has sentient knowledge. Rocks have vibration that is connecting to your vibration. So that's how it reads the authenticity or the veracity of the question you're asking it. And you have to calibrate. So it's not like you can just pick up a pendulum and be like, hey, tell me if this is true or not. It's a relationship that you have to build and a muscle that you have to exercise. Some people are really good at muscle testing. I like the particular practice of the human pendulum. So the process is you take an item or whatever you're looking to connect with, and I'll ask. I do this with crystals all the time. Like I hold it to either my heart or my solar plexus, and I will ask, is this for me? Or does this serve me in the highest and best way? Or does this want to come home with me when I'm at the rock shop? And if I am pulled forward, that is universally received as a yes. If you are pushed backward, that is generally perceived as a no. I've met like one or two people who take the opposite perspective on those, but I like the explanation that if it is a yes, you are magnetized toward it. And if it is a no, you are repelled away from it. And sometimes it's a very subtle sway. It's not like you're being shoved. So you have to calibrate and know your own reaction to things. Sometimes I have zero reaction. So I'm like, okay, so that means it's not a yes. So it's a no to me. That's my experience and perception. But that particular means of muscle testing it's not as available to be manipulated. Like some people will do this muscle test. This is a yes, this is a no. And that's kind of easy to manipulate unless you're really intentional about being hydrated and making sure that
Mm-hmm.
your magnetic frequencies are aligned. Like there are a lot of parts to that one. And if you pull hard enough, you're going to pull your fingers apart. Yes. So
Really?
that's my own preference. If I have a really hard time making a decision, I will do that. I will do a human pendulum type muscle test.
It's with a rock or a crystal, so I can do that with this one that you gave me.
Yeah. And the other thing is starting to trust the answers you got. So if you say you're just journaling one day and something weird comes through and you're like, was that me or was that spirit? Keep journaling and see what comes to that answer and trust it. Don't let your human lens say, I just made that up.
Mm-hmm.
Trust what's coming through. And that's probably the hardest one for most people.
It's, it's very hard for me. I'm constantly going back and forth. Wait, did I say that or did that come from somewhere else? And I have started journaling. I've tried the automatic writing. You talked about that one in your book too as a tool, and the automatic writing is also very hard. But like you said, you keep at it because in your book, you also said, even if you're writing, this is dumb, it's not working, but I've done that and I've just gone through it. That's okay. I'm just gonna keep writing. And eventually some stuff comes up and then I will go do something else and I'll come back to it and I'm like, huh, I don't remember writing that. Okay, that's cool.
It is cool. And like sometimes I get really aggressive with myself. I'm like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever done. Why do I do this to myself?
I feel so much better that you just said that.
But you can get some really valuable information out of that experience, even if it feels super uncomfortable and stilted and forced. There's still value to be had.
Yeah, that's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, I'm gonna hop back to the spirit guides thing because so do you know how many spirit guides you have and do you name them? And I'm super curious about this stuff because I have not been able to figure out who mine are, what they do. Yeah.
So I know mine. I know mine well. Yes, they have names. I refer to them by their names. Most people have 5 inner circle guides. Some people have 6, some have 4. Like it's not a hard and fast rule. Those guides are your communicator guide. They're the ones that orchestrate everything. My communicator guide is named Sarah, and she is very gentle with me, even when I'm not so gentle. So she balances me well. She shows up to me in a Victorian English persona, and she has a very Kuan Yin type energy. Like the outfit she shows up in makes me think of Kuan Yin. So she brings in compassion that I don't necessarily always embody for myself and others. So she has a lot of purpose in my evolution at this point. Then there's a joy guide. Mine is named Toby. He is a young boy with red hair and he is mischievous. He likes to hide things when I'm looking for them. He plays tricks on me. He sometimes appears to me. He does funny things with the animals in the house. And he shows up when I am too entrenched in work and I haven't paid attention to the things that serve me better. And then my protector guide is named Samuel. And he and I shared a lifetime I was an Indian squaw and he was a white boy that was taken in by the tribe. And so I took care of him in that lifetime. He's taking care of me in this lifetime. And I was actually in a reading one time. Like I was in the gallery. Someone else was doing the reading. And this medium was like, I have someone named Sam. Sam is here trying to protect someone. He's like putting a bubble around someone. Can anyone take that? And I'm like, nah, I don't know anybody named Sam. And I got to the car and Sarah, who normally doesn't show up in like physical, taps me on the shoulder and she said, Samuel is extremely upset with how you acted. And I was like, so the human easily forgets what's just on the other side of the veil. And it happens to all humans.
Mm,
So if you are compelled to say, hey, I got this message, I think it might be for you. And the person's like, nope, not me. Do not take that personally and do not let that stop your own development because that's a normal human experience.
mm.
The human psyche is designed to be like, oh, I don't know, like that doesn't fit with my societal norm. So, nope, that's not me. It even happens to me. And then
Wow.
quickly, the other 2 main guides are the doctor chemist. So that's the person who helps you with like healing, medical, your own physical well being. And then the doctor teacher. That's the person who helps you with spirit. So they often work together and they'll show you how to address things like chronic illness or how certain energetic programs are manifesting in your physical realm. They're telling me that they want to reinforce people who are seeking healing. Healing isn't curing. So if you're like, hey, I've been working on trying to get rid of this chronic illness for the last 32 years, curing is a human convention.
Huh.
Healing is a spiritual experience. So the distinction is important for people to keep in mind.
So when you say healing is spiritual and it's different from curing, so for instance, I have really bad sciatica. I've had it for years, and it's always pinching a nerve. It's doing it right now, and it hurts on my left side. And it's a chronic pain. So curing it would mean physically the pain goes away and I no longer have sciatic pain, but what would be the healing version of that?
Digging into why you have it. Here's your why. You get a why.
Okay.
Sciatica on your left side often means that there's some instability in your maternal relationships, and that could be somebody else's. Like, oh, it's yours.
Jamie, you're spot on everything. Holy cow.
Working on the energy of it is the healing of it. Curing it would be clipping a nerve and never feeling it again, but still having all of the energetic reasons that you had it. Digging into how you address those energies is the healing part. And that requires internal work, and it's not always comfortable or pleasant.
Thank you. Oh, that's super fascinating. So do you see or feel or know of other people's spirit guides? Would you be able to just say, "Oh yeah, Ellie has 5 spirit guides," or for other people?
Sometimes. Often, spirit guides are such a personal relationship that they don't want to come through to me. So if I ask them, you have 4 that show up, but they're also talking about 7 outside of that. So this is an opportunity to get out a pendulum and say, do I have 4 spirit guides or do I have 5 spirit guides? And see what the pendulum tells you, because the pendulum is going to tell you. The pendulum's got no skin in this game. It doesn't care what the answer is. So it will tell you based on your resonance with the truth, because your body knows the truth. So just asking, does Allie have 5 spirit guides? I get a yes, but only 4 step forward. So those are questions to go and ask yourself and see if you get the same answer. If you do get the same answer, then dig in a little deeper. Say, is meditating the way for me to connect to my spirit guides? Yes or no? I have a favorite meditation. I envision a park bench next to a waterfall, and I ask my spirit guide to meet me there. So when I was in high school, I had this quirky English professor, and he was admittedly really evolved, and I just didn't know. He took
We
us on
all
this
have that quirky English prof.
So he took us on this meditative journey, and he took us to a fire, like a big bonfire. And we were supposed to meet someone at that bonfire. Some of the other kids in my class were like meeting Gandhi and Mother Teresa and like popes. And I'm like, I just met this old Indian dude. And turns out he's not even actually Indian. Like he just was dressed like a Native American. I didn't recognize for probably 10 years that that was my first conscious interaction with one of my spirit guides until he presented himself to me when I was at a very low point. And I was like, I know you. Yeah, I did. But I recognized him from that experience. So it's not always instantaneous. When you meet an energy, it might not manifest the way you expect it to, and you might not put all the pieces together until later.
So true. So true. Yeah, that's crazy. How cool. Okay. So you talk about different tools. You mentioned the pendulum. There's like tapping into your third eye. I'm just bringing up some from your book. You even talked about listening and that being one of your superpowers and how you can just not just like listen to the words, but we sort of talked about that, but feel behind the listening, which is really cool. Like all these things that you can tap into: journaling, meditation, energy, chakras. Maybe expand on some of these tools and which ones are most helpful for you.
So my use of tools has evolved over time. And I think probably that's the same experience for most people. But often you'll find a tool that really resonates with you and go deep with it. The chakras are the energetic portals effectively in the body that control different areas, different emotions, different experiences. If you're looking to connect with spirit, you want to pay attention to the upper chakras. So the third eye is right here, and that's where you see spirit. And then the chakra at the top of your head, the crown chakra, is the connection to the universe. But the deeper you go into energetic medicine, you'll learn that there are other chakras above your physical body and below your feet, rooted in the earth. And the earth itself has chakras. There's a huge rabbit hole to go down, but the most important thing to know is if you have blocks in any of your chakras, you're not passing energy through and it can get a little toxic. So a lot of us have a challenge grounding. And if you often get distracted or you're easily following squirrels, one of my friends calls them flaming squirrels, grounding is a great practice to do. And going outside and doing it is even more powerful. If you live in a skyscraper and you have a hard time getting to grass, you can get a plant and focus on the plant. Put your fingers in the dirt. They also have grounding mats. We have no excuse in this society to not practice grounding. But grounding is an intentional process that allows you to connect to the energy of the earth. And by doing so, energy can pass through your system. So then it's not getting stuck in places and causing problems. Anxiety often comes from not being grounded and not having good energy flow, in addition to a lot of other things. So if that's one thing that I can share is practice grounding. Put your feet in some grass. Go lay on the ground. I love laying on the ground.
I do too. Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna make sure I do that today, actually, just because you said that. Even though it was snowing this morning.
Oh, it's like 85 here,
Wow.
but inside my office it's cold, so I'm always like bundled.
Well, since it's called Aha, Awaken, Heal, Align, what are your kind of aha moments that you've had on your spiritual journey that have really stood out to you through this?
Learning to trust my inner voice. And the times that I have not trusted my inner voice, it has been an issue. So that's that's probably the biggest aha that comes with healing and necessitates healing to be able to get to the point of trusting it, because we've been told for millennia that that inner voice isn't rational, isn't reasonable, doesn't make sense. But really, it's the truth of who you are, and it's not going to mislead you. You just have to learn how to trust it and trust it without the filter of like, what happens if? Just go with the flow.
Yep, just surrender. That's a big aha for me too. Just let it go, just surrender. Things will work out as they should. So, very cool. Well, I'm gonna share this so people know that you're an author and that you have this amazing guide, the Empath's Guide to Developing Your Psychic Abilities by Jami Hearn. And
Thank
how can
you.
people order this and highly
It's on Amazon.
on
That's
Amazon?
the easiest way to get it.
Okay, very cool. And do you do readings or how are you still involved in your spiritual world? Do you do anything to help other people still?
I don't do readings. Sometimes I have galleries. Sometimes I'll appear at things in person. I love going to like the random witchy spirit fest or something and participating there. But I want to share the knowledge with people about how to do this. And like it's accessible. They can do it themselves. I'm also happy to have a conversation anytime. So if somebody's like, hey, I want to do this, I just don't know what to do next, I'm happy to engage in that conversation. Maybe you should orchestrate an audience and we'll tell them all the things they want to know.
Okay, I'm working on that.
I
I'm
love
gonna
it.
get my podcast spirit guide down here to help me.
Yes.
Yes, but wow, what a great way for me to get to start to have you on here. This has been incredible. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you for having me and thank you for sharing this journey. This is beautiful and challenging, and I'm so appreciative to have people like you to share it with.
So, so grateful. Grateful that we sat next to each other at that dinner table. in Chicago. Just it's so funny. It's so true. Just the people you meet and how it can really have such an impact in your life in
Yes.
the most unexpected ways. Yeah. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if people do want to reach out to you, do you want to share like Instagram or what's the best way?
Facebook is probably the easiest way. I'm not good at checking Instagram messages. I get confused about where they are.
I do too. Facebook is more user friendly. I've always preferred that. It's been amazing. Thank you so much. And I just love you so much. Thank you, Jamie.
I love you too, sister. Thank you. I'll talk soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.